Continued box office battles, Golden Globe winners and losers, and Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man again? All this and so much more on this episode of Beyond the Screen. Hello, everybody, and welcome to a New Year's edition of Beyond the Screen, our first episode of 2025. My name is Ryan Gum, and I'll be your host today. I am joined, as always, by Jake Holtzclaw. Jake, what's up?
What's going on, man? I am snowed in.
Oh, what a way to start the year. I mean, it is absolutely abysmal outside. I think I was reading somewhere, it's the worst snow this area of the country has seen in 11 years, double digits in the inches. It's bad.
Yep. So if you guys don't know, we are in Kentucky. Now, we do live about 2 hours apart, but we're seeing about the same amount of snow here. 10 inches, and it's been rough. I've had numerous things cancel, and the roads are just bad. It doesn't seem like there will be an end, but wait till the sun comes out.
For those in states near, specifically to the north, my friends who are Ohioans or in the surrounding states, they're probably here like, oh, double-digit snow amounts, whoop-de-doo. But this part of the country, this state, we are in the South. I don't care what people think. They can look at the geography. We are part of the South. We don't get a lot of snow historically. We just don't. Kentucky weather's a little bit all over the place, but one thing has always been consistent. To get this much snow is rare. It's weird. And so, yeah, the state is it's kind of on shutdown right now. It's not good for the Commonwealth. So, but we're here still to give you film news. Snow's not going to stop us, even though the snow's piling up in my apartment, Jake. We're still doing the podcast. No.
You left the window open.
Yeah, just too long. Too much snow. I did go outside and track a bunch of snow in because I was trying to get my car unburied. I drive a small little vehicle, and so my tiny little guy did not last very long. But anyway, it's time for film news. Mufasa outruns Sonic in each film's third weekend in theaters. It finally happened. Mufasa has outpaced domestically Sonic. I've been trying to hold out hope that Sonic would hold pace, but Jake, I fear that your prediction in the very beginning of this was correct. Back to Mufasa after losing the traditional weekend last weekend by the thinnest of margins, less than $1 million, did Sonic just edge out the traditional Friday through Sunday box office. Did Mufasa beat Sonic? Mufasa finally tops the charts of this first weekend, which was January 3rd through the 5th, after earning another $24 million. The film has earned $168 million domestically and $476 million globally, which is a big number in 3 weeks. All of this despite a terrible opening weekend, which saw the film gross only $35 million compared to Sonic's $65 million. So the fact that we're seeing this turnaround, Jake, we talked a little bit before the podcast, and you had actually mentioned it on episodes previously of the podcast. What was Mufasa's goal in terms of what would be their success? And you would always say it was their longevity.
It's one of those movies. So like the same with Lion King, even the live action one. Longevity is key, especially in the global market. Like I think that this movie, would you say, was almost half a million or half a billion now? So 460 million. We could see it, crossing that mark and continue on in the next few weeks. I mean, it'll stagger out, but I think it'll hit 600 million. Easily, because we're only in the third week here. And secondarily, I'm looking at the stats on Box Office Mojo right now, and it's being shown in about 200 more theaters. Now, it is losing drastically more theaters in terms of how many theaters are showing it. So 3,925 currently are showing Mufasa, and then 3,746 are showing Sonic. And more theaters are actually dropping Mufasa. However, the gross for this week is not losing as much as Sonic is. So we lost 42% over last week, whereas for Mufasa it was 36.3%. It is truly the longevity. I think that number, that 10 or so, 8%, is the longevity speaking there. And we're only within, was it 19 million between the two?
Not very
total
much
gross?
at all. Yeah. I mean, it's very close.
I think next week and then the following, we're going to see both of them are going to taper off. That's inevitable. But I think Sonic will probably drop a whole lot sooner, and we might even see Sonic lose. Like once that happens, the theaters will immediately start going in droves. Sonic will be dropped, and Mufasa will probably stay maybe a week longer.
Yeah, there are a lot of big films coming out in 2025. We're kind of hurtling towards a big mark in March, even with we talked last week. It was Ryan Coogler's Sinners and Mickey 17 from Bong Joon-ho. So it'll be interesting to see as new films come out. What will each film? How will they continue to perform? Sonic is continuing to go down. Before we get to Sonic's numbers, that 19 million that Jake described, the difference between Sonic and Mufasa, that is a domestic number. International numbers a lot farther in the lead. I should say Mufasa is a lot farther in the lead with the international number. However, before we move on to Sonic and their numbers, the Lion King, or I should say Mufasa, the Lion King, needs to continue to gross, not just for our little bet that I think Jake is slowly reaching back across and pulling the Beyond the Screen bucks back his way because he's proving to be more and more right as the weeks go along. He played the long game and I did not. But that is not the only reason Mufasa needs to continue to do well besides our silly little bet. Moreover, Mufasa is a very, very expensive film. It cost, I think off the top of my head, it costs around 200 million or more to make, not counting marketing. On top of it, the film also, every time you get to distributors and you get to theaters, obviously those places showing get a cut of whatever is coming in terms of money flow and ticket sales. So this is a film, yes, it's grossed a ton of stuff internationally and domestically. It still really needs to continue to have this longevity because it's trying to break even. It still hasn't broken even yet in terms of earning money. So we'll see how Mufasa does. I think it's got everything. I'm not hopping over on the bandwagon. Jake, good job on your bet. Congratulations. I don't know if they have what it takes to really see what Disney will, or make it to what Disney will see as a success, but let's see what happens moving forward. Going to Sonic.
Yeah, if Mufasa is shooting to break even on domestic alone, they have not done that, and they are off by 40 million. So their budget was 200 million, not including marketing. So which technically they've made their money back if we're going globally. But if the goal was to do it domestically, they might. I think it's, if you give them 2 weeks, they'll hit it. Definitely not the marketing total, but they'll make their money back by the time it's out.
If they were trying to make another $1 billion entry, and if that's what they spent or set their budget to potentially earn, they've probably failed.
I don't think it'll hit $1 billion.
This will definitely hit over 500 million. So yes, we will see where this film continues. But looking at Sonic, continues with this trend of this back and forth between these two powerhouse films. Sonic directly behind Mufasa with 21.2 million on the weekend, also its third weekend in theaters. Thus far, the film has earned 187.5 domestically and 336 million internationally. Now, remember, Mufasa earned 476 million globally, so there's a bit of a difference. Yeah, Mufasa's starting to outpace Sonic on the global scale, but domestically, at least American fans and moviegoers are still tuning out to Sonic, even if it is by a slim margin. This film has already surpassed the original. The 2020, I think, is what the original Sonic came out in. Was it 2019, 2020, somewhere around there? Sonic 3 has already outgrossed the original and is going to outgross Sonic 2. It's very, very close. The biggest piece of news coming out of this weekend, however, for this franchise, not just that this film, it just continues to bring in fans continue to show out for it, not just that as they continue to put in more installments, they continue to outgross the last one, which is the ultimate goal. The franchise has surpassed $1 billion in the worldwide ticket sales for the franchise in and of itself, and a fourth installment was already greenlit with Jim Carrey absolutely expressing his interest in returning as Dr. Robotnik. Jake, what are your thoughts on just everything? Just specifically, what is success for Sonic?
Yeah. So I'm not sure what you can attribute it to. I think Shadow helps a lot. I think there's there's this following of Shadow the Hedgehog that helps a lot in this movie alone. But secondarily, I mean, you got Jim Carrey as well. And then I think Sonic has somewhat solidified himself as a character that people like. People like what they've done with Sonic as a movie character. And then that script, if it was gold plated already for number 3, I want to know if they diamond encrusted that fourth script to get Jim Carrey already interested,
Yeah. It looks like he's having fun.
What else could you do?
It just looks like the man's having fun.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, maybe that's what it is. He's truly actually having fun while creating a movie. Whereas before it was he took a little sabbatical and he's like, "Yeah, I'm retired. I'm done." But now it's two Sonic movies later, and it's like, "All right, Jim Carrey, how do you feel about movie making now?"
Yeah. Jeff Fowler, Jim Carrey's like, I'm retired. And Jeff Fowler, the director of the franchise, the Sonic franchise, is like, all right, come on. Here you go. It just, I love the idea that he handed him the script, but instead of it being in black ink, it was just yellow. He said, here you go.
Yeah. It's like, all right, man, listen, blue hedgehog.
And so Jim Carrey's like, yes. And
Immediate.
what if he fought a black and red hedgehog? And Jim Carrey's like, yes, I'm in.
So, and there's some imagery. I've actually seen photos from the movie. Heaven forbid I've seen someone take a photo from the movie, or maybe it was in the trailer, but
dear God.
I think they were saying that Shadow was doing like poses with the motorcycle that have been used in so there's an anime called Akira that's like, I think, motorcycle centric. It's on my watch list. I need to watch it, but one of the poses that main character does on the motorcycle is Shadow does it too. And so it's just a lot of just fun things they're doing with this movie. And I always, if you can tell people, they put a lot of love into it, and I think that's what makes a good movie. And we were talking about this before. It doesn't matter how much money or budget that a movie has. You can tell whether or not people loved to be on set or loved to make this movie. There's some movies that are void of love. It just felt like something everybody had to get out of the way.
Yeah. No, and I, to add to your point, this makes me think of a conversation we were just having, which was about Sony a number of episodes ago. I don't remember. It might have been last week. Sony and their Spider-Verse, or whatever you want to call it, is dead but not dead. They're blaming everybody else, and it's whatever. And, for those who haven't listened before or haven't kept up with it, this feels like what Sony should be doing. When you know your audience, fan service is going to be the number one thing that continues to bring people back. What has Paramount and what have these creators done? Yes, they put out that atrocious first draft of Sonic. That was just them trying to get people to look at it, I think. I don't want to imagine that was what they were actually going to roll with. But when they realized the backlash, I feel like going into it, they already knew their audience. But when they saw the backlash, they said, okay, let's give the people what they want. People want Sonic for who he is, what he looks like. Sonic, the live action, looks just like the video games. Like this second rendition that people have come to love. You give people the Akira references. You give people all, because it's the same audience, the same people who are.
Yeah, I even
Sonic.
think they gave him a gun.
Yeah. The same people.
They gave Shadow a gun, which is like from one of those. I don't know if it's a fan made thing or whatever, but like the animations where he has a gun.
Yeah.
And that's just a common thing. Like Shadow uses a gun, which is crazy, and then they give him one in the movie.
Yeah, and this isn't me to say anything. This isn't me trying to be like dramatic. This isn't me trying to be like poke fun at people. But the people who like Sega and the people who like Sonic are probably of the same audience that likes Akira. So knowing that, having the wherewithal, Jeff Fowler and Paramount and all the other executives and producers, to say, look, people, even though they're not asking for anything Akira related, they will get this reference and they will like it. On top of just the Sonic and just everything that character is, the franchise is the same across the board. So I love it. I think that this is everything to your point. I think you're exactly right. I love that they didn't reinvent the wheel. They corrected the one mistake that they ever had made. And they said, look, give the fans what they want. And to be honest, that's all you ever have to do. When you have an IP like Sonic, and I'm looking at you, Sony, you literally can use Spider-Man. Just use the IP. People want to see that. So yeah. I completely agree. And I think Paramount, I'm proud of Paramount. I'm happy with, for once in my life, I'm happy with a big production company. Good job. Great job.
Yeah. I even just looked up like Sonic with gun or whatever. I needed some imagery here to talk about it, but I actually found an image of Sonic on a motorcycle, and it's got, or not Sonic, Shadow, and it has Shadow written on the back, and then like the Akira poster, it has like red Japanese lettering over it. It's literally the recreation of Akira's movie poster, but it's Shadow.
And that's fan made, and they put that in the movie.
Yep.
See, good job.
That's the point.
Then people love it.
Yep.
We're running out of time here in the first segment, but there's one last thing I want to go over with box office. We'll move on from Sonic. I guess final thoughts from me as well with Sonic is I think they've already done the successful part. You're outgrossing your previous two. People love it. They're excited for a fourth film. Jim Carrey's coming back. You know Jeff Fowler's going to be back. Great job. Moving on. Nosferatu, right at number 3, has grossed over 100 million in ticket sales globally after just 10 days in theaters, debuting on Christmas Day. The film earned 13.2 million domestically and 26.8 internationally this past weekend. On top of it, already grossed 69.4. This film, which only cost $50 million to produce, has already surpassed both Terrifier 3, Smile 2, and other horror films in the 2024 box office. This film came out less than a week before 2024 ended, and it's already cementing itself as one of the best horror films in terms of at least ratings and box office numbers in the year of 2024. It's on the heels of Longlegs at 74.3 and Nosferatu is at 69.4. It is also behind Alien Romulus with 105.3 million and A Quiet Place Day One which is 138.9, which are both huge production company made. So really, you have these art house flicks that are still going to lag behind these major production companies. However, we're probably going to see Nosferatu as the third highest grossing horror film, true horror film of 2024. This is by far Robert Eggers' best film release of all time. Jake, what are your thoughts?
I don't know if this is just the algorithm playing here, but I always go back to social media because it's something that's so integral in everybody's lives. I've been seeing a lot of Nosferatu just for the plain and simple reason. If you've listened to a review, you know that man is an insatiable hunger, both sexually and physically. So I've seen a lot of memes where it's just like, just making fun of that point where Nosferatu wakes up and all he craves is a woman, you know. So I think that is the reason. I'm actually looking at the stats here. It may not have done as well as its opening week, but 140 theaters picked it up after its first week. So I don't know if that's, you know, theater owners or whoever decides that a theater is going to play it is seeing this tick in social media buzz on it and the memes and are picking it up and hopefully getting ticket sales off of that or what. But I think it's like we said in the review, Nosferatu is not for everybody, but once social media and meme culture take something in, then you're going to see a boost.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely a media frenzy right now. It has infected everything social media. I mean, memes and TikTok and Instagram. It's fun. And if, again, you brought up the review, if you haven't seen the review, go watch it. But just in case you're here and you haven't, you'll know that this film is right up my alley with, like, I love horror, I love mystery, I love thriller. You said it right. Are there things that make it kind of at times? Yes, of course. It's not perfect, but it's good. It's a great film. So it's cool to see someone. I've loved Robert Eggers for such a long time. I remember, like, but even before The Northman, he was someone who always kind of had my interest with The Lighthouse. Then I thought The Northman was fantastic. It kind of bombed. To see his fourth installment, which he's not had a bad film, The Witch, The Lighthouse, The Northman, and now Nosferatu have all been absolutely amazing. And to see one of his films finally not only break it into the media sphere, but be a box office hit is really, it makes me happy. I really enjoy it. And I think that this is a great place to kind of move on. We're going to go ahead and end this segment here. Golden Globe winners and losers, Keanu Reeves, secret level news, all this coming up after the break. Welcome back to Beyond the Screen. We're coming right off the heels of the Golden Globes having been on Sunday, January 5th of 2025. So with this award ceremony, we really weren't going to cover it very much. I was actually putting together the script and I was like, I saw it happen, but me and Jake, just a little bit of a look ahead, we're thinking about doing an Oscars prediction special. We're kind of looking forward to March 1st, not really paying much attention. Like, we know this is a thing. It's one of the biggest award ceremonies in the history of film. So it's like, it's not like we weren't thinking about it, but as I was looking through it, a lot of these really are Oscar predictions. So we're going to talk about it. Coming off the heels of the Golden Globes, Emilia Perez wins 4 awards after its leading 10 nominations, including Best Musical for a Comedy, Best Non-English Language Film, Best Supporting Actress in Zoe Saldana, and Best Original Song in the film with El Mal. Looking around the other award winners, Brady Corbet and A24's The Brutalist won 3 awards off of 7 nominations, including Best Actor in a Drama, that was Adrian Brody, Best Director in Corbet himself, and overall Best Drama, which is one of the, if not the biggest award you can get at the ceremony. So Jake, I know you're excited about that one. The Brutalist wins Best Drama. Conclave had 6 nominations and won Best Screenplay, that stars Ray Fiennes. Shogun, a TV show, batted 1,000, winning all 4 of its nominations. While we're talking about all the positives here, there were a lot of major losers last night, including Chris Sanders and Universal's The Wild Robot, which is shocking to me. They went home empty-handed after landing 4 nominations, losing Best Animated Picture to Upstart Flow, which I've not seen yet, but I've heard great things about. While the Bear star Jeremy Allen White might have won Best Actor in a television series sticking around with the TV shows, it was the only award on the night for the most nominated show at the Golden Globes last year, or I should say it was very successful last year. This year, it was still the most nominated show, but it only won 1 award. Most notably, however, in all of these losers, Sean Baker's Palme d'Or winner, Honora, from Neon, went home empty-handed after receiving 5 nominations. This is a film that has a lot of Oscar hopes. For those of you that don't know what the Palme d'Or is, that is the biggest award at the Cannes Film Festival in France, which is the biggest film festival in the world. Jake, what are your thoughts on the Golden Globe results?
As always, I'm super happy for Adrian Brody. I saw him in that super small film where he was a teacher. It escapes me now. I'm actually looking through his. So he's in Wes Anderson films a lot, and so I really love Wes Anderson films, and Adrian always kicks it out of the park. But after watching the one where he's a teacher, it was a little bit more dark, and it's just more of a tragedy. And then I immediately went and watched The Pianist immediately after, double feature
Mistake.
style. And now I'm like, I can't wait to watch The Brutalist now, especially since it's won these 3 Golden Globes. It just means to me that Adrian Brody's performance and the overall movie, I am like oozing excitement, I guess, and I couldn't explain it more to my girlfriend. She's like, I guess I'll watch it with you. I mean, it's a historical drama. It can't be like can't be something like an action film, it's not necessarily, but from what I'm hearing, it's amazing, and I can't wait.
Adrian Brody, you've been talking about this film a lot in the last few weeks. And now, if you remember, this is a limited release, only I think in 8 theaters to date from A24. As I said recently, Jake has been talking about this film a lot. He's very excited, as you just heard, to see this. It's shocking to see this film get such a limited release and again, Best Director, Best Film, Best Drama, and Best Actor at one of the biggest award shows in cinema. So I think that's going to show, or that has a lot of implications for what comes down the line at the Oscars in the next few months. For me, I think the biggest shocker moving away from The Brutalist, as I said, to the very end of all of it, one, I guess there's 2 of them. One, The Wild Robot not winning Best Picture, shocking to me. I feel like that film, it had to have been maybe not the first. I think the first highest grossing animated film of the year had to go to Moana 2 or Inside Out, one of the Disney films. But this was right up there with them from DreamWorks. This is right up there with the highest grossing of the year. This was one of the most critically acclaimed animated features of the year. For it not to win Best Animated Feature is shocking to me. And to double that up, Honora, I just can't believe that this film, which everyone talks about it. Like we talk about how The Brutalist, its only sites, its release date, its limited theatrical run was aimed towards award ceremonies, was aimed towards Oscar season. Honora had a lot of the same hopes and dreams. To see them be gashed like that is shocking.
Yeah. And as well, I've watched The Wild Robot, and then I watched Wallace and Gromit also in like a double feature style. And I was pleasantly surprised. Like, I really liked Wild Robot. Now, do I think it's going to be like a Toy Story level classic? Maybe not. But the story and I'm not going to throw my girlfriend on the bus, but tears were shed. It's a great movie, So, I mean, compared to Wallace and Gromit, you know what you're walking into when you start a Wallace and Gromit film. You know exactly what it's going to be. But with Wild Robot, it kept me, I mean, not on the edge of my seat, but like I wanted to know, I wanted to watch, and like where are they going next with this? Like I know there's no way that this ends 100% happy. Everybody's where they need to be, and that's kind of what I was waiting on for the ending. Is like, how does this all technically work out? Because it was that good of a film. I could not predict it. Whereas, like, I was watching Wallace and Gromit, and I'm one of those people who really tries to understand where it might go or whatever. There's no surprises when it comes to me, I guess, when watching a film. And if something does surprise me, that to me is the biggest thing that I look for. So, and the Wild Robot captured that, as well as being something that's not been told before, and what we always talk about on this podcast being original. Wild Robot does all of it, checks all the boxes, and that's why when Flo won the Golden Globe for Best Animated, I'm like, oh man, I haven't seen this yet, but how did Wild Robot not get it? Of the two films that I saw that were nominated for it, this film I've not heard of won it. Oh man, it must be bigger. So I will let y'all know, but
Yeah.
we shall see.
See, yeah, I'm happy you brought up Flow. So the rest of the nominees outside of, I named Inside Out 2, I named Moana 2, I named The Wild Robot, was Wallace and Gromit, and was Flow, which was the winner. Flow is a Latvian film with no dialogue. This film looks beautiful. It has a really interesting art style. The synopsis, when you look it up just on Google, is a cat is a solitary animal, but as its home is devastated by a great flood, he finds refuge on a boat populated by various species and will have to team up with them despite their differences. And this is, I called it an upstart. I had heard very little about this going into this weekend, and it beats some heavyweights. Two Disney features. I think probably what should have been the winner, or I shouldn't say it like that, but what I would have bet would have been the winner. And we're talking about Wild Robot. So the thought about it upending a Latvian, I'm pretty sure it's an indie film, upending these powerhouses in the animated sphere is crazy to me. Moving on, Keanu Reeves filmed the entirety of his Secret Level episode with a broken kneecap sustained while filming his upcoming comedy film, Good Fortune. So in the 8th episode of Secret Level, which is an animated series following 15 standalone stories from various video game franchises, so think about it as like reimaginings, if you will, dark reimaginings of various video game franchises and their established lore. In the episode titled Armored Core Assessment Damage, or Asset Damage, excuse me, we see Keanu Reeves as he enters a legend story for all my Star Wars fans, again, reimagining within the Armored Core universe. The video game series centers around, quote, a silent protagonist who takes on work as a mercenary pilot in the far future, operating a large robot combat unit known as Armored Cores at the behest of corporate and private clients. While we could go on about the story and the surrounding lore of Armored Core, which I'm personally not super familiar with, but it was really interesting to go down the rabbit hole and kind of do some reading on it. What really is important to note about this is what I said at the top. What was happening in the real life surrounding the story in its entirety with its lead actor, Keanu Reeves. In an interview with Collider, Secret Level creator Tim Miller and supervising director Dave Wilson described how they worked with Keanu through his injury, which again was a broken kneecap, stating about 2 hours in, or quote, about 2 hours in, he's like, Dave, and I'm like, do you want to come back tomorrow? He's like, let's just shoot it all now. And I'm like, what? And he shot for 13 hours straight with that brace. And he doesn't leave set. He just nips out, has a cigarette, comes back in, and he's like, let's go again. Miller, in this same interview, I should say, Miller and Wilson also described how they gave Keanu's character a noticeable limp and a brace to better accommodate for the seasoned actor's injury. If you remember last week, we were talking about the potential for a John Wick 5, and we talked about how, his kneecap, as he said, cracked like a potato chip in half, and I couldn't remember the comedy film. This is the comedy film. It's not released yet. It's called Good Fortune. Right after doing that, he goes to make this in motion cap, this animated episode for, what was it called again? I cannot remember. Secret Level, sorry. And he does all 13 hours of filming with a broken kneecap. Jake, what do you think?
This might be John Wick. It might be John Wick.
He's actually
Keanu
John Wick.
Reeves embodies the character of John Wick. I mean, there's definitely there's a man of that man is convicted. Like that is a man of conviction. I don't know if I could have done it. I don't know if a lot of people could have done what he did.
I mean,
13 hours with a broken kneecap. I mean, that's every minor adjustment of your knee. I mean, I'm just sitting here holding my knee and I'm moving it ever so slightly and just feeling all the movement of my kneecap.
ugh.
And that's in two pieces. in him, and he's on 13 hours standing on it with a brace? No way,
It's
dude.
it's insane, and it just so in the article itself, I didn't quite put this down, but I'm remembering it as we're talking about it. Apparently, Reeves was like, "What if I filmed for 5 minute intervals and like allowed myself to like take breaks or whatever?" And these two, Miller and Wilson, were like, "What if we like made your character have a limp?" And he said, "All right." He shot for 13 straight hours. Like, guys, give the man a break. He's 60 years old. But the thing is, he did it. I mean, he is the embodiment of John Wick. He can do John Wick 5. I'm putting it out there. He get back out there, John. Get back out there. It doesn't matter that you launch her the wrong way. Get out there.
Jeez. It's just like I don't know, it's amazing. And it sucks that he is getting older and but time gets us all, but he's still proving he's a badass guy. John Wick or not, Keanu Reeves, he's to be loved for several different reasons, and he keeps on giving us more reasons.
Yeah, and the thing is about that article, while this was kind of the thing that made headlines, the biggest reason that they had it was to talk about how much they loved him. They didn't go on there to say, yeah, he's so tough, he should be John Wick. He is John Wick. He should do it again. They really got in front of a mic, or at least in front of a journalist in their pen, was to say, look, this guy is awesome. Like, everything working with him was what everyone talks about. Like, he is just such a good guy. And it just so happened that his kneecap was broken. He filmed for 13 hours straight and would just take cigarette breaks and come back and do apparently wonders. I've not seen the episode yet, but apparently the series, it's gotten some pushback. I've seen specifically on the crazy Pac-Man take. I don't really know much about the story myself. I could tell you what I think I've seen, but it's gory, and these are really, really interesting reimagines for things that I never would have thought. Again, 15 standalone stories and 15 different video game universes about like weird legend stories. It's interesting. That's really all we have for that segment. So coming up after the break, we have more DCU news. Andrew Garfield speaks out, and the first trailer for Bleecker Street's Love Me coming up after the break. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. If you've made it this far, we really appreciate you. Thank you so much for sticking out with us. We love you guys, and just give us a like, give us a share, do all that fun stuff. But if you don't want to, we completely understand. We're not going to hold it against you. But again, we really appreciate you making it this far into the episode. Can't thank you enough for starting 2025 on a high note with me and Jake in film news and all what's love and glory in Hollywood. Going right into the segment, Jason Momoa has been officially cast in the DCU as the villainous Lobo and will appear in the upcoming film Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, starring Millie Alcock. Lobo, an intergalactic bounty hunter with the power to regenerate from injury at superhuman speed and is essentially immortal, filming is set to begin this month with a target release date of July 26, 2026. Also, within the DCU, we got a few more pieces of news here. In an interview with Josh Horowitz of the Happy Sad Confused podcast, Nosferatu and It star Bill Skarsgård made some interesting comments about his interest in joining James Gunn and Peter Safran's DCU as some iconic character, stating, quote, "I have a really effing cool Joker in me," which just fits beyond comprehension. Skarsgård went on to say he'd be down to also play Batman, or interestingly, both, which, okay, that's not one I've thought of before. And the last thing, speaking of Batman, in a surprising update, Matt Reeves confirms to Deadline at the red carpet of the Golden Globes that the Batman 2 will officially film this year, or at least begin filming this year, stating, quote, "We're doing something where the story continues from, but I hope that people will be surprised by." Jake, with a lot of news regularly coming out of the DCU, you got James Gunn speaking a ton. What are you most interested in?
Well, Skarsgård's just talking about, I don't doubt that he could have a mean Joker in him, but I don't know if that's got any validity to it or not. It would be funny to see the same actor playing both characters. I think there might be something there. But in terms of what I'm most excited about, obviously Batman 2. Cannot wait for that. Glad they actually put something for this year to start filming. And then Jason Momoa, we're still fleshing out the DCU here. So Mhm. Is it directed, Supergirl directed by the same ones doing the Superman movie now?
I think so. I think James Gunn's doing both.
Okay. So theoretically, if the Superman movie does well, Supergirl might follow in its footsteps. As long as they don't make um, Jason Momoa the next Black Adam, is what I worry. You know,
Yeah,
because Lobo's supposed to be an intergalactic bounty hunter who can go toe to toe with Superman.
yeah. Apparently, this is a character that Jason Momoa has gone on record to say, "I love this guy." Like, this is a guy that Jason Momoa really wanted to play. That's who he thought he was going to play in the DCEU with Zack Snyder. Didn't quite happen. He got Aquaman. But this is a
Mhm.
guy he obviously connects with. He's obviously wanted to play. So I think James Gunn will let Jason Momoa just be Jason Momoa. In
Yeah.
terms, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I can't help but think. Hopefully, we get another Henry Cavill situation where the person loves the character so much they will make that movie.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see how they would keep him coming back because, like Lobo, while he is a very powerful force, I almost worry that he's more of like a one-off villain. And Jason Momoa is a guy who, as he's shown, you can build a franchise around. So I'd like to see him almost like at the behest of everyone saying, "Don't be Sony." I'd almost like to see him be like I don't know if his character is like an anti-hero in any sense of the word, but I think he's just a straight villain. But it'd be cool, exactly what you said. Let's see a Lobo standalone if there's enough story there. Let's see more Jason Momoa. I think he's a fun talent. I think he's got great comedic timing, and I think he's going to nail this role just because of how much he has connected with it. But you kind of nailed it right off the top for me. What is most interesting? We've talked a lot about James Gunn. I, for one, am very excited about the Superman movie coming out this summer. I think he's nailed it. But the thought of Bill Skarsgård being both Batman and Joker, even if it's just one or the other, I think he can fit both roles because he's got, as I've said before, he's got what I call rubber face where he can be anybody or do anything. He's just such a good talent and a great actor. He might be the most talented actor in the world today. He's so good at what he does. But the idea for me, because I overthink everything and I overanalyze everything, so I'm a deep thinker. The idea that Batman and the Joker, what is their character dynamic is that they're two sides of the same coin, right? Like one can't exist without the other. Think about how deep that could go if they're played by the same guy.
Oh yeah, no, and I think it would just be. I know Skarsgård would embody the characters. Again, he would care a whole lot about them, but I think it would be fun to just see both sides of Skarsgård in one film because I know he's got it in him. But honestly, the first thing that my head went to was, oh God, don't make it a Jared Leto,
Oh
because I
yeah.
could I could also see Skarsgård in the same costume. I could see him play the exact same Joker. Now, sorry, Jared Leto, he could probably do it better, but I
Mm.
don't think I want Skarsgård to be that gangbanger Joker.
No, I almost want to see him be like a comic book. Like I want to see a more like we talk a lot about source material. Let him be colorful. Let him be, yeah, he's going to be sadistic. This is, he's going to be whatever he's going to be. He's the Joker. But let's see a comic book accurate Joker. I mean, I feel like we've gone away from that the last few iterations.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see Skarsgård give that a whirl. Give it a try. Moving on, Andrew Garfield has been very vocal lately. He's had a couple of interviews, and we're going to talk about him both. So, in an interview with The Guardian, Garfield was asked about his thoughts regarding a woman apologizing to those around her in the theater. So, she was watching his latest film called We Live in Time, and she was driven to tears and was so emotional about it. She felt the need to apologize to those around her. And if you're wondering why are we talking about this, we'll get there, and I promise, but just stick with me here. So, Garfield stars alongside Florence Pugh in We Live in Time, and the story follows two characters across various stages of their life. As their love grows, they fall into like the heartbreaking late stage cancer diagnosis that kind of falls upon many people just in real life. I wonder why she'd cry when you think about it. Like that sounds like just a go lucky, just a happy story. Two people falling in love and one of them has cancer in the end. I could only imagine why she'd be emotional. But with that, when asked about this lady, Garfield slammed the public criticism, calling it a shame that she would ever need to apologize in the first place. He will go on to describe how this, quote, speaks to a cultural thing, and he's talking about how emotional expression is frowned upon, and he's describing particularly in the UK where he's from, but I think this translates like everywhere, especially in the UK or in the US. So this is where it connects. Jake, we talked a lot about and had a lot of discussions about theater etiquette and about like what should and shouldn't be. Is it okay to cry in a theater, Jake?
Oh man, this is it's gonna make us flop back on everything we've ever said. Um, I mean, there's a point that you shouldn't necessarily you shan't be a distraction, I guess, or like don't be bawling, not like a tantrum, like, but like you can cry, I guess. I don't know. I keep it on the minimum, some whimpers maybe, but I don't know. I can see it. I don't have a problem with it, but I could see someone who is a very vocal crier or something like that being somewhat of a distraction for other moviegoers. And so I think within reason, um, you just have to be reasonable about it. Because, yeah, I think you should be allowed to cry during movies. And there have been movies that like have brought a tear to my eye, and it's few and far between. But and I might have been, having a drink or two, but, but I think there's a time and place, um, or there's just, you know what I'm talking about?
No,
Help me
I
out,
I
Ryan.
do. No, no, no. And I will agree with that. I think that there is a line that you're out in public still, so like try to hold it together just a little bit. However, what I will say is um I think beside everything we've said up to this point, the point of film is to get a reaction. You're meant to just you're meant to feel your emotions a little bit, right? I don't think it's a problem to cry in a theater, especially an emotional movie. Like, chat, is it okay to cry? Is it like I don't know. I just feel like it's
Yeah, L
ridiculous.
bullies, L bullies.
Yeah, I feel
Yeah,
like it's
that's us.
ridiculous that we're even have to talk about this. But it's like, yes, we've talked about like, and the main reason why I brought this up. Sit in your chair like you're in Clockwork Orange with, we are the fun police, as you said in that our conversation many weeks ago at this point. But also like it's okay to have emotion. It's okay to feel what these characters are feeling. That's kind of the point.
Well,
Um,
there's, the debate. Well, you can bring up like Endgame. Everybody cheered when Captain America, spoiler, caught Thor's hammer. Um, and I mean the whole you talk about you were in a theater when it happened. Popcorn went everywhere, dude.
oh yeah,
And so there are instances that get the pass, and it is truly a case by case basis, or most of them are. And I think you're allowed to laugh at a joke. The reason the joke was told was to get the audience to laugh. The reason that the story goes the way it does is to elicit that emotion. So her crying was the intended outcome.
yeah.
Now, singing over a movie, not so much. I mean, you can enjoy listening to the song, and it shouldn't make you spontaneously start singing. I don't think that was the intended reaction. No,
No,
I mean it is a musical. I mean, it was Wicked is based off a musical, and I can see people would want to sing along, but like it's not Broadway. We're not requiring it. This is a movie theater.
no, and I think the difference here in what you're trying to describe is like between Wicked and We Live in Time and the kind of the etiquette, I guess, if you will put it that way. One is like, all right, let me scratch that. Let me just put it this way. You're allowed to have emotion. You're allowed to enjoy a film as long as it's not to the detriment of other moviegoers' experience. I think that
Yeah.
like I think that
I think
can
that's a general good rule to follow, is just to the detriment of others, and like be reasonable.
yeah,
Have a mind about yourself that in a public space, do not inhibit others from
agreed.
enjoying the experience.
Agreed. And so this was not the first Andrew Garfield interview he's done in the recent week. So speaking to GQ UK, Garfield was asked about recent reports that linked him to returning yet again as his version of the web slinger in Tom Holland's upcoming Spider-Man form from Marvel. He said, quote, "I'm going to disappoint you. Yeah, no. But I know no one's going to trust anything I say from now on." Jake, do you think we'll see the Amazing Spider-Man once more? Or are we just kind of are we hoping? Are we asking with our chest? Are we reporting with our hopes and dreams?
Not in Tom Holland's. Um, and I mean, I'm gonna trust him. I'm gonna say he's not gonna be in. There's no way. There's no way they'd have him again in Spider-Man 4 with Tom Holland.
Feels
I
a little
don't think it's gonna
forced,
happen.
doesn't it? Feels a
Do
little
what?
forced.
It's it's a money grab.
Yeah,
It's yeah, it worked last time. And well, that's what made the first time special. You
yeah,
start throwing any Spider-Man you want into a Tom Holland film, then it's kind of like, okay, what was the point of the other one? They all got sent back. It was supposed to be a happy story. Why the hell are we seeing them again?
agreed.
Um, so
No,
am I hopeful that we get to see um another Andrew Garfield movie? Yeah, him, just him, but don't put him in a Tom Holland, and I don't think they will.
I couldn't agree more. I'd love to see Garfield just in his own movie. Give me the Amazing Spider-Man 3. Moving on, the first trailer for Bleecker Street's film Love Me, starring Kristen Stewart and Stephen Yeun, was released this past week. The film debuted at the Sundance Film Festival, and the film follows, quote, a buoy and a satellite meet online long after humanity's extinction. As they learn what life was like on Earth, they discover themselves and what it means to be alive and in love. Jake, have you seen this trailer, and what do you think?
I have not seen the trailer, and it sounds intriguing because it's not a story that we've necessarily heard. It's kind of reminds me of Her with, talking to your phone and Siri, but it removes the human, and now it's just two Siris talking to each other.
Yeah,
So,
so I've watched the trailer and it seems really intriguing. I think if I reading in between the lines correctly, the two like I don't know if they use AI, I don't know what they're doing, but it's almost like they link up and they kind of embody two content creators. Like I know that was kind of part of the story is that like they're following so Stephen Yeun and Kristen Stewart were like YouTube like bloggers and they were in a relationship before humanity went extinct and these uber smart AI driven buoy and satellite use these two characters or these like the caricatures of these two real life people to kind of like they're discovering what life is but then they kind of put themselves within the characters and so it's like they're falling in love with each other and they're learning about life and what love is and they're using the caricatures of these people who are now gone to do that through their YouTube vlogs. um and so it seems to me like they are like like I think if I remember like correctly from the trailer, they physically touch, and I think that like that is the embodiment of like what they have synced up to do from an AI perspective. So like they're putting themselves in these caricatures and all that. So I I'm intrigued. This seems like I read somewhere that I don't remember who said it. I was just kind of scrolling, but someone described it as like Wally if it was dramatic in live action. Is kind of what
mhm.
the idea or the feel anyway. Not so much the story, but like it feels like a live action dramatic Wally, which I think Wally's the best animated film of all time. So they had me. I was very intrigued at not only the premise, but then I read that and I was like, hmm. So we talk about originality in film and how a lot of people think it's dead, and it's just about if you go and find it, and here it is. Here it is.
Yeah, if you want something new, something fresh, never heard of this before, a buoy and a satellite use AI to give themselves bodies and they fall in love. What is more original than that? I don't know. Maybe Andrew Garfield and Tom Holland Spider-Man 4.
Yeah.
That that can't be getting much original than that, but no. So I look forward to this. Um, is there a release date
Not
for
that
it?
I've seen
Not yet.
the first trailer came
Mm.
out, but I'm sure that there is one. I just haven't seen it.
Okay. So it's gonna be one of those I'm gonna keep my eye out for, and it's not necessarily something I'm super interested in, but if it does really well and it proves itself to me, um, I'll probably go watch it.
All right. And that, ladies and gentlemen, that's been our show. Thank you so much for listening. Give us, as I said before, give us a review, give us a like, comment, take part in the poll if there is one. Do your thing, interact. We would love to hear your opinions. Jake, any thoughts before we let the people go?
Yeah, I think I could probably play Batman and Joker at the same time. I don't think it'd be that hard.
I think you'd kill it. I think your long hair would
Oh yeah,
really.
I'm literally already Batman, so
You are. I've never seen
I'm
you guys in
halfway
the
there.
same location. Your long hair would
Okay.
really. Can you imagine? Like you look up and you see Batman running away. You see his cape, and draped over his cape is just locks of hair.
Locks of hair. Yeah, well, that and then also I have Heath Ledger's like greasy hair sometimes, so
Ooh.
it'll work out.
I feel like in between takes you forgot to take off the greasy hair, like whatever, like the oil, and you put on the cowl, so you have the Heath Ledger greasy hair flowing down the cape. It's like leaving
Yeah.
like wet marks on the cape as you run. Ew.
Yeah. Anyway,
That's been
thank you
our
for the
show.
image, Ryan.
Oh, you're very welcome. That's been our show, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week.